Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. We're doing it, folks. The Astros, we are so back. They're still below 500. They're a couple games below 500 still, but they just finished sweeping the Baltimore Orioles, and I swear, fans haven't been happier. It seems like the same fans that were complaining in April have somehow morphed into new fans that are a little bit more optimistic about these Astros overnight. It's almost as if all the things I've been saying all season are true. Not really. I haven't been calling all the shots, folks. But we are very much excited here at the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. We are a Houston Astros podcast for diehard Houston Astros fans. This is, it's tough for Houston Astros fans. A lot of the coastal elite media likes to make fun of the Astros or likes to rag on them because honestly, LA teams and New York teams do not like the Astros, and that's even before the sign-stealing scandal. So of course, a lot of the media coverage from the coasts are not too high on the Astros. They always like to kind of kick them while they're down. So it's tough being an Astros fan, finding a podcast that you like. So that's what I've done here. I'm trying to make a podcast for diehard Houston Astros fans, for optimistic, positive Astros fans that don't just want to be miserable all the time in the middle of what seems like being in the middle of the golden age of Houston Astros baseball still. Sure, we had a couple setbacks, but why are we all so miserable all the time? So this is your positive place as a diehard Houston Astros fan to go when all of the hot takes got you so riled up. Come over here for a nice cool take or a lukewarm take, a voice of reason in the desert of nonsense. That's what the Houston Astros fans need, and that's what I'm trying to do here at the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. We are a fan podcast. I am Paul Salazar Jr. I am a comedy writer, improviser, just general silly goose, bartender, proud doggy dad, multi-hyphenate that lives in Los Angeles but was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I am a Houston native and proud to be so. And I live out here trying to make it as an entertainment professional, as a writer. And this is my side project. I love the Houston Astros, so I love talking about them. So when it came time, when everybody in LA had to have a podcast or you get kicked out, it's how it works here. If you do not have a podcast in the city of LA, they kick you out. You're no longer a creative. They take away your SAG-AFTRA card, and you're out of the cult. No, when I wanted to make a podcast, I was trying to figure out different ways to make a podcast. I love the Astros. I could talk about them all day, so it just seemed like a perfect passion project. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Let's talk Astros baseball, folks. It's a busy day here. Actually, before we get to Astros baseball, a little housekeeping note. If you hear Carla, my co-host and podcast producer on mic, I do apologize. Carla, the dog, is here with us in studio in the sunny day in LA, and we've already had solicitors knock on the door and scare the mess out of her. So if she is on mic, we apologize. There's nothing I can do about it. She runs the show here, and it's her gotcha day. We've had Carla for 4 years. I'm so lucky, so she can do whatever she wants. So just sorry about it if she gets on mic. Now, past the housekeeping notes, let's get to some Astros baseball, folks. We are back, baby. The Astros are officially back with the sweep of the Orioles. A lot of people are getting scared. They're shaking in their boots out there in baseball podcast land, folks. The Astros don't play today, so it's an off day shenanigans, an off day goof off version of the podcast today. But a lot of the national media, they're starting to get scared. They are taking notice of the Houston Astros, who were they buried back in April. They buried them and left them for dead. And now that the Astros are starting to get back to 500, the other teams are starting to worry. Why? Because this is still that team. I know a lot of Astros fans have been insanely critical, have been insanely depressed about how the Astros have played this season. But to people that are complaining that much, I just want to point back to 2013 or just frankly, any other mediocre baseball team in baseball even this year. You don't have to go far to find mediocre baseball. The Astros, they've been playing bad luck baseball. They've been pitching injured. They have had so many injuries this season. Yeah, it's been tough, but this is still a good team. And this series against the Orioles has proved it. And the fact that other pundits out there, other bloggers, other podcasters are starting to get worried, that shows you that all this mess that they've been talking about the team is just some mess. It's just some ish talk. You know what I mean? Some Ishtar. It's just some Ishtar. That my favorite movie, Ishtar. If you're too young to catch that reference, thank you for listening. I'm really glad you're here. It's really admirable what the Astros have done. Not just sweeping the Orioles, who are one of the hottest team in baseball, but this team doesn't get swept. This is the second time the Orioles have been swept in 116 series. This team is good. This team is consistent. At least in the regular season, they have been. The Orioles have been dominant, particularly this season. And when I said that the Astros had the biggest challenge so far this season coming up with the Orioles, I meant it in the sense that, like, this team is great. This team is spectacular. And arguably, depending on where you rank the New York Yankees, this might be the best team that we've had to face this season. So the Astros having to play them was a little scary for me because they've been such a mediocre, middling team. You know, there's been so many times they don't remind me of the Golden Era Astros. They look like the Fanatic Astros, this kind of knockoff version of them that kind of reminds you of them, but really when push comes to shove, you can see through them. That's the Fanatic Astros for you. You know, we want the majestic Astros. And that's what these Astros were. You know, all Jersey jokes aside, you know, these Astros proved that they are still that team, that they still have that spirit in them. They still have that dog in them. You know, this Astros team is still great. And they have been struggling this season. But sometimes throughout the run of this Astros team, they play to their talent level. They have to play with their backs against the wall sometimes, and they did great. So recapping this series real quick, you know, it was kind of nervous for us going in as Astros fans because the first game of the series was going to be started by a pitcher that hadn't pitched above Double-A with Jake Bloss. And Jake Bloss came up and he did his job looking like a Bloss. You know, he really looked pretty good. He pitched 3 2/3 of an inning with 6 hits. He gave up 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Not terrible for what we have seen from call-up starts so far this season. Jake Bloss did look pretty good. Obviously, we were still scared going into that 4th inning. I was unsure of what type of performance Jake Bloss would give. However, unfortunately for Astros fans, the type of performance he would give was one that would get him injured. So Jake Bloss got taken out of the game, unfortunately for fans and for Jake Bloss. I laugh only because it seems like that's what happens when you're a Houston Astros starting pitcher. You just get injured. So welcome to the show, Jake Bloss, and also welcome to the Astros starting lineup. That's what happens in the starting rotation here. You have to take a little bit of a stint on the IL. We have not had any luck with injuries this season, so it kind of like was a perfect metaphor for the Astros season so far. Is like, oh no, we're scared. Jake Bloss is coming up. We don't know what to expect. Oh, this isn't too bad. Maybe this will be okay. Oh, he's injured. Okay, season's over. You know, it feels like it's been an emotional roller coaster. A lot of ups and downs. A lot of fans being very sad about the state of the Astros this season. However, you know, Jake Bloss, he did do a decent job. Sadly for the young man, he got injured. I do not think he was going to be a long-term part of the starting rotation this season. However, we don't have a 5th starter now with Jake Bloss being injured, so that does raise questions as to who's going to pitch. Who is going to pitch for the club? We're still waiting to figure out who the 5th starter is for the Astros. Who do you think it could be? I'm not asking like a call to action. I'm asking for Dana Brown. Do you have any friends that can pitch? If so, send them to Minute Maid Park. They might be a starter soon enough. There's been so many starting pitchers for the Astros this season. There's so many injuries, in a stark contrast to the season they had last year, when the starting pitching was pretty solid because nobody was getting injured. So the Astros having to deal with all these injuries and still maintaining their record is pretty admirable. So we're optimistic here at the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. As some of you who are frequent listeners know, we have an official panic meter here at the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. The Houston Astros fans' official panic meter. Home is the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, and I have not touched it in quite some time. Probably just touched it once this month. This month it is still very low. It says it's go time. It's time for this team to prove who they are. And they really sent a statement out to the league with this sweep of the Orioles, folks. Bloss and Bloss and Sean Dubin, I should say, combined in that first game to lead the bullpen through what was a tough one. It was a slugfest of a game in the first meeting between the two teams, but it really did end up going the Astros' way, winning 14-11. They had to use Brian Abreu to pick up the save in that game because of how close it got. The Astros were kind of using the B team of the pitchers in the bullpen that game. Nick Hernandez had a tough one. Rafael Montero started to struggle too and had to be taken out of the game. The game kind of got steadied by Taylor Scott, who has been amazing this season, and Brian Abreu coming in for the save because of Hader being used so frequently in the White Sox series. But that did not hurt the Astros. Obviously, that overtaxed bullpen in the White Sox series that some people were complaining about. Scott and Abreu were able to come in as the B team closer, setup man and closer, and did great for the Astros. That led us into and gave us momentum going into the game, the next game, where Ronel Blanco took the mound against Corbin Burns, and the Astros won 5-1 under a great performance by Ronel Blanco. Ronel Blanco has been him this season. In this game, he pitched 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, only 4 hits, 1 run, one earned run, 3 walks, which, sometimes he can get into some trouble with those walks, and 4 strikeouts, giving up 1 home run, and his ERA on the season is 2.34, with his record being 8-2. This has really called a lot of people to bring attention to Ronel Blanco, potentially getting some attention for the All-Star game. Ronel Blanco has been a great success story, with that little hiccup of his suspension aside, which really seemed like just unclear rules from the league, the MLB. A lot of, even Astros haters can't get behind that suspension because of how shady and weird it was. So it's great to see Ronel Blanco have a great game, lead the Astros to a victory, and really start a whisper campaign to get him into the All-Star game. So we're really hoping to see that. Presley came in to pitch the 8th inning of that game and pitched a clean inning. It was good to see. He picked up a strikeout, and then Hader came in to close that game out. I loved this move by Espada. I know that we were up 4 points, but we need to win games. It's about getting the win on that day when you are playing a team as good as the Orioles. You do not want to give them a chance to get back in the game, close it down, and get the W. Hader came in and pitched a clean inning, got 2 strikeouts, and won the game for the Astros. I should be saying, wanted to pick up some notes about the offense here. Obviously, in the first game with 14 runs on 14 hits, I should say, the Astros did it with small ball, only getting 1 home run from Jake Myers in the 5th inning. Everything else, kind of extra base hits and timely hitting. They were 7-for-14 with runners in scoring position and only left 5 on base in that game. When they were fantastic. Altuve was 3-for-5. Bregman was 2-for-5. Alvarez had a tough game. He was pinch hit later for Cooper. Hummel came in for him. Yainer Diaz was 1-for-4. Myers obviously got that home run, 1-for-5. Singleton picked up a couple hits, 2-for-5. Dubon, 2-for-4. Low Profito, Joe Low, is has been playing a lot in this series. He was 3 for 4. Trey Cabbage did not pick up a hit in the 9-hole, guys. But that was an amazing offensive game. And getting back to the offense of the game, I was just recapping the Ronald Blanco game. Sorry, one sec. I got to the Hunter Brown game. What am I doing here? Hitting the wrong buttons, really taking myself out of the rhythm here. But yeah, in that 1-for-5 game, 5-1 game that the Astros won, it was good to see Yordan Alvarez. Yordan really hitting his 6th home run of the season, looking dominant. McCormick also hit a home run in that game. It was good to see Chazzy Fizz out there. I'm sorry, he hit 2 home runs in that game, I should say. One in the 5th inning, one in the 8th inning. It was good to see him kind of get a bit of that swagger back. You know, he's had a bit of a struggle coming back from injury. There's so many outfielders out there right now. Loperfido played the game, but he was 0 for 3 with a strikeout. But it's been hard for Chaz to kind of find his way back onto the roster. It's been tough, so it's good to see him have some success. Like I said in a recent podcast, we really want someone to step up and take that role, to have less of a platoon. It's going to be tough when Kyle Tucker comes back. Hopefully Kyle Tucker comes back soon, but that offense is going to be a little log jammed when he comes back. In yesterday's game, Framber Valdez took the mound against Suarez. Baltimore's pitcher Albert Suarez. And the Astros came in and were dominant again, getting 4 runs in the beginning of the game in the first inning to really kind of put their foot on the neck of the Orioles. Pitching another amazing game. That first slugfest was tough for the Astros bullpen, but like I said, it was mostly Blas and Hernandez, a lot of the kind of B team of the bullpen, picking up some innings but kind of struggling through it. The Astros sent Nick Hernandez back down and brought up some young, fresh arms for this game. So Framber Valdez came in, pitched amazing. He picked up a win in 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, only 1 earned run, gave up 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and he did give up a home run. But Framber Valdez looked pretty great. He was caught by Cesar Salazar in this game. I mentioned that Yainer Diaz would have to catch Framber, and what would happen there? I think there could be a narrative here about how maybe Framber Valdez and Yainer Diaz aren't best buds and they don't get along. But I don't think that's the case. I think Framber is very competitive. He was pushing in that game where he kind of went rogue and went off script. I think that's why you kind of want a vet in that position so you can kind of get in his chest and tell him stop effing around. But I think that the Astros putting in a younger, more inexperienced catcher with Valdez and letting Yainer Diaz pinch hit, I think that's just getting some rest for Yainer. I think that's actually showing that you trust Framber by putting him with a younger, more inexperienced catcher as opposed to forcing Yainer to catch Framber to kind of keep him honest. I do think Framber is not going to go off script again, and it was good to see him work with Cesar Salazar. I do not think there is a narrative about Diaz not catching Framber, but we'll see. We really don't know. I know there is speculation out there, but I think it's just speculation. But that moving on, Loperfido also in lineup notes. Loperfido got another start this game. Dubon started first for Singleton. I think whenever there is a left-handed pitcher, most likely Dubon will be getting that first base start, at least for the time being. It does not look like there is it looks like Dubon is the backup first baseman. And I think he'll be in there with left-handed pitchers for sure. In this game, one of the highlights of it was, in that first inning for sure, we got some offense going early. It started off with another first inning home run from Jose Altuve, who got his 12th home run of the season off of Suarez. Altuve is just a Hall of Famer. There's no other way around it. It's so good to to be an Astros fan. It's so good to see this guy just dominate the league. It was great. It's what the team needed. He provided that spark for the team to get them this sweep and to start the offense early. Bregman has also been back, guys. Bregman was 4 for 4 in this game with a walk, getting on base 5 times. Bregman has really been turning the season around. His average is at 257 and his OPS is at 732. And for those of you who have been following and remember what his numbers were in May, this is a stark contrast. And that's what his numbers were with a huge sample size in May, because Bregman only took a couple games off. He was getting a lot of reps and he was not doing well. And he's really turning that season around. Jordan kind of had a tough game. He struck out once and was 0 for 4. Myers came in to pinch hit for him. However, Yainer Diaz and Jeremy Pena both picked up 3 hits and 3 RBIs in this game, being your 4 and 5 hitter. It's really good to see that. There's been a lot of lineup shuffling this season, by rookie manager Joe Espada. A lot of people have been critical of him and his lineups and saying, you gotta mix things up. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, Joe. But that's just people who aren't paying attention to the games every day, because these lineups have been fluctuating a lot. He's more AJ Hinch than he is Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker would glue a lineup card to the dugout door, and that just would be how it is for a while. AJ Hinch is a tinkerer, so he's kind of in the middle. I feel like Joe Espada. He kind of learned lessons from both managers and is kind of doing a mix of both. But it's good to see Yainer as a cleanup hitter, Pena as a 5th hitter. I feel like that's kind of where they should shake out, or where I would have them. If I was so lucky enough to be Joe Espada, I that's where I would have them. But if I was also managing a baseball team, they would look at my resume and fire me immediately for lying to get that job. So it was good to see that. Dubon also played first. He got 1 hit in the game. He did pick up an RBI. Joe Lowe was able to get a hit in this game, going 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Time will tell how Joey Loperfido is adjusting, but that high strikeout rate is something that still concerns me. I'm happy that we have that pop in there with him, a potential power bat. He has been aggressive. He has been getting good hits, but that high strikeout rate is something that does worry me about Joey Loperfido on this team. Cesar Salazar, he picked up a hit going 1 for 4. McCormick went hitless in this game with a strikeout. Cesar Salazar, mi primo, doing a great job in his spot call up to the show. He's hitting 500 with a 1.125 OPS right now. Obviously, I don't think those numbers are sustainable for any baseball player, but shout out to Cesar Salazar, really doing a great job calling the game, but also when he's been up, getting timely hits, not playing too far outside of himself, and contributing to this team's offense. It's been great to see. Obviously, I'm being really silly calling him mi primo. There's no relation there. This podcast is I do label it as a comedy podcast because of how silly I am. But just so you know, that isn't my actual family member. If it was, I would be talking about it a whole lot more and not this lightly. But it was good to see him. It is good to see contributions from everybody that gets called up. And even, these players that they might have a brief time with the Astros, it's good to see them have some success so that hopefully they can build on that success and leverage it to, contributing in other factors in their career going forward. So shout out Cesar Salazar. People that call him Caesar Salad, it is a fun nickname. I do like that. I like Cesar Salad for sure. But Breggy called him Sally. So Sally's the nickname for Cesar Salazar, at least within the clubhouse. So shout out mi primo for doing so good. On the pitching side of this, we talked about Framber Valdez's line, but the Astros, having Framber go 7 innings, were very fortunate to keep this bullpen rested. They were able to buy some rest for the bullpen by pitching 2 rookie pitchers back-to-back, both making their major league debut. I think you dropped your crown, Brian King. Brian King was introduced to the league. He is he's not 74. He wore number 74. He's a 26-year-old rookie. He came out He's a left-hander. He pitched against the heart of the Orioles order, and he picked up a strikeout against Gunnar Henderson. So that was major for the Astros. He picked up a clean inning there and made it look a little easy. So good start to his career there, Brian King. And then we had a pitcher, Luis Contreras, who came in. He's a 28-year-old rookie. He's a right-handed pitcher. He gave up a hit, but was able to get out of the inning without giving up a run. He recently had been called up to the Astros, but didn't see any time out of the bullpen. Got sent back down to Sugarland, made it back up to the show, and was able to contribute in an inning. So really good to see that. I do think that these are just more people that are going to be added to the Dana Brown pitching carousel to be sent back down. And that's not because I don't like their talent or I think little of them, but just because they're younger. Because this team will need a lot of fresh arms with all the pitching injuries. I think, we will need a starter. These younger pitchers sometimes go up and down pretty frequently because of what the need is for the bullpen, whether that's a fresh arm or a specialty arm, or just calling up a vet or calling up a prospect, whatever they need in the bullpen. So I have a feeling that these fellas might be sent down pretty soon. And hopefully they're still part of the long-term plans for the club, but their club will probably value fresh arms over these prospects. If one of them maintains their spot on the roster, more likely it's going to be Brian King. He is a lefty, that is valued, for matchups, and he got the tap for the heart of the lineup and got a strikeout. So, I think that at least, in prospective talent level, they see him perhaps a little higher, but we will see. We will have to see if they're putting Dubin in the starting role, which they have not. They've been really hesitant to, or if they're going to call up a pitcher to take that fifth starting role. That will help figure out where these pitchers are going. Moving forward here, kind of talking about the Astros, going forward here, looking at the standings, looking at looking at our schedule coming up. We have an off day today, obviously. That's why we have the off day goof off. The Astros have a 7-3 winning record and win-loss record in the last 10 games with a 5-game winning streak. They are 6 games behind the Mariners and only a half game ahead of the Texas Rangers right now. The Rangers are on a 4-game winning streak as well, although both of those teams, both the Mariners and the Rangers, are 5-5 in their last 10. If the Astros can ride this wave and be the team that we know they can be, they can really start making some noise by the time the All-Star break comes around. And, I don't want to call it, but it would be, I am going to be optimistic here. I think the Astros have what it takes to be in first place in the American League West by the All-Star break. For all the people that were so worried about the Astros being sellers, I do think that the Astros have what it takes. They finally have the swagger. They have the momentum. It seems like they're starting very slowly to get healthy. They're doing this without Kyle Tucker. I think that the Astros are found it again. But time will tell because, like I said, sometimes they play to their talent level. So perhaps we have to wait to see how they played these Rockies. So after today, for Tuesday and Wednesday, the Colorado Rockies will be in Houston to finish off this homestand against with the Astros here. So this Rockies series, I think, will really show you how consistent these Astros can be. If they can come out here, really put the hurt on the Rockies, really kind of show that they aren't going to take it easy, that they're here to make some noise in the league, that would be great, and that would really help solidify that idea that the Astros could be in first place by the beginning of at the All-Star break. After they play the Rockies, then they're going on a road trip that is going to be. Let's see here. Yeah, that road trip is going to start in New York. We're going to go face the Grimace Mets in New York. Stay up north playing the Toronto Blue Jays in a 4-game series, and then finish off with a 3-game series against the Minnesota Twins, and that's going to be all with no off days. So it was really great that the Astros weren't able to tax those bullpen arms yesterday. They were able to get those rookies in. It definitely is going to lead to fresher arms out of the bullpen for this bit of a tough road trip. At least we'll see. We'll see, because the Mets have been kind of suspect this season, but they found a winning streak with Grimace. The Toronto Blue Jays have really been struggling to get out of the gate right. They kind of have been playing like the Astros a bit, but have not been able to find much consistency and are looking to be trending downwards right now. But you don't want to say their season's over, because they could still very much make some noise. So we will see what type of teams show up, during the road trip. And then we're going to finish off with the Minnesota Twins, who've had a pretty good season so far this year. But looking forward to tomorrow against the Colorado Rockies. We'll be sending Hunter Brown out there, who has been on fire lately. His ERA at 4.72 does not seem that great, but this season he started off so terribly, so abysmally, that those stats were awful. So it's good to see him turn it around, even though those stats might not seem to reflect that he has been great. He has been great, and I feel pretty confident when he's behind the mound. Not Ronel Blanco confident, but he has really kind of turned the season around in my eyes. The Rockies will be sending out left-hander Austin Gomber. So it looks like Mauricio Dubon will be starting that game. Austin Gomber is 1 for 4 with a 4.36 ERA and a 1.3 WHIP. The veteran, perhaps, we'll see what the Astros are able to do against him. They can feast on the lefty. I do think that it is set up for the Astros to do well. After the Astros face Gomber, they will have to face the Colorado Rockies pitcher Ryan Feltner, who is a right-hander, 27-year-old right-hander who has been struggling this season. He's 1-6 with a 6.02 ERA and 80.2 in 2/3 innings. He's thrown 73 strikeouts with a 1.4 WHIP, and those are pretty much on pace with his career numbers. So I'm thinking that these, a struggling pitcher. Kind of two struggling pitchers might be what the doctor ordered, but we will have to see. You can never. This league is full of good players. Jonathan Cannon almost shut the Astros out in a complete game. You can't take anybody too lightly, because they are incredible athletes. So this is not me not trying to be too shady here. I'm just saying that this might be the time that the Astros can do some damage against these pitchers who have had some struggles this season. Then we have, with the Astros kind of sending out some guys that are on the rebound. Spencer Arrighetti coming out there, who has had a really, up and down season so far, but has shown that he has his stuff. Arrighetti this season has been 3-6. He has a 6.36 ERA with 65 strikeouts and 58 innings with a 1.74 WHIP. So those walks have really been eating up Arrighetti. In the last 7 games, he's in 2-2 with a 5.4 ERA. So we're hoping that he's slowly working these numbers down. He's slowly finding this consistency. We're hoping that he could really find his footing against the Colorado Rockies lineup in this series. I do think the Astros have. Obviously, they just swept the Orioles. They have what it takes to sweep this 2-game series. They swept the Rockies before. I'm going to be extra confident and say they're going to sweep the Rockies again. It might be a little bit more challenging than the Mexico City series, but I think that they have the stuff. I think they can do it. I think that they have found that swagger and that they are ready to turn it on and show this league that they are not dead yet. The Monty Python quote, "I'm not dead yet." That's definitely the Astros right now. I think they're ready to go from that meekish "I'm not dead yet" to show the league that they are ready to make some noise. I think there's so many more things that I could talk about. I think what I'm going to do is kind of split this in half. I'm going to do the next half of the podcast tomorrow. Tomorrow is a late game or a later game, so I'll try to get that out in the morning, or maybe that'll be an article. I'll just do an article instead of a podcast, but I'll get the second half of that out later, and that will be something that you can see or read or listen to, I should say, tomorrow. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and call it for this episode of the Space Cadet Sports Podcast today. Thank you so much for listening. I think these Astros are finally turning it around. I think this podcast is finally turning it around. I'm sitting here criticizing the Astros, for having an up and down season, but so has this podcast. I've been injured too. I've been on the IL. So, I think this team really has a lot to look forward to, and I think the Astros fans have a lot to look forward to. They could put all of their hand-wringing and emotions behind them, and let's get behind this team and see the noise that they can make coming in just really in the dog days of summer here, folks. Definitely, for people who are new to the podcast, please check out the Substack. Thank you for listening to the podcast, but I have a Substack where you can get every podcast, every video podcast, every meme, and every article that I make and share with Astros fans. You can find that on the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can put your email into that field there, and you get every meme, every article, every podcast emailed directly to your mailbox. Not your mailbox, your email box. Let's be clear. I don't want to promise something I can't deliver on. You get that in your email box every time I have something out. Or if you're like me and you like your phone and you like apps, you could sign up for the Substack app and subscribe to me through there on the app, and you get every meme, every podcast, and every article sent to your phone through notification instead of the emails. You get it on your phone and it's a notification. Click on it, you go through the app. It's like having your own Space Cadet Sports app on your phone. However, you could also read so many other people on Substack that you can, there's so many people I read. You definitely check it out. I love the app experience. And you can find that at spacecadetsports.substack.com. Go check that out. I'm Paul Salazar Jr. You can find me at Paul Salazar Jr. on all social media platforms, and let me know what you think. Let me know who you think the fifth Astros starting pitcher is going to be. I'll send that in a text to GM Dana Brown. We appreciate your help helping us find a starting pitcher. And if you're just here for Carla on her gotcha day, celebrating 4 years of Carla, thank you for being here. You can find her Instagram at good.dog.carla for cute puppy pictures. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast, folks. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and share us with friends, other diehard Astros friends that want to listen to this podcast. Send this over to them. Thanks for listening. Keep your head up, son. And as always, vamos Astros.